Well, if you can solve this problem, you can do whatever you want with me.
It happened during a high school reunion. A former classmate, who had grown into a breathtakingly beautiful woman, challenged me with a math problem written in French. She used to bully me back in high school. This was probably just an extension of that. The problem was a legendary one, even at the International Math Olympiad, known as the Master Demon, with an exceptionally low correct response rate.
Well, considering how much you were a nerd back in high school, you should solve this in seconds, right?
Yeah, solved it.
Right? Like you could never. Wait, what?
I said, I solved it. When I showed her my answer, she frowned and said grudgingly, "That's correct." The crowd around us gasped.
What? How did you solve that?
He's actually.
When a friend revealed my identity, the murmurs grew even louder. All right, as promised, I'll do whatever I want now. At those words, the color drained from the beautiful woman's face. It was a complete reversal of fortune. I took her pale hand in mine. And then, I, Shane Adams, returned to my hometown for the first time in 10 years. The reason? To attend my high school reunion. Honestly, I didn't have any good memories from my high school days. When my father passed away in an accident, my already modest family plunged into financial hardship. To support our family, my mom gave up all her personal pleasures and worked tirelessly for me and my younger sister. Watching her, I made up my mind to get a good job and make her life easier. That's why I spent all my time studying during high school. But there was one classmate who constantly looked down on me for it. Her name was Samantha Summers. She was the daughter of the CEO of Summers Publishing, a nationwide company specializing in distance learning programs. She'd find every excuse to make snide remarks at me, calling my belongings secondhand, mocking me as a pathetic poor kid who only enjoys studying. She even hid my shoes, textbooks, and pencil case on multiple occasions. Because I didn't have proof that Samantha was behind it, I never told my teachers or my mom about what was happening. I'd heard that Samantha would also be attending the reunion. Honestly, I would have preferred to make up an excuse like, "I have plans," and skip the event. But when my friend Sam, who was organizing the reunion, said, "I really want to see you after all this time," I just couldn't turn him down. But I pulled myself together. Before I came back to my hometown, I'd ended up voicing my anxieties to my mom.
It's been 10 years. Everyone's grown up by now, so I'm sure no one will say anything snarky to you anymore. Besides, the Shane you are now, and even the Shane you were back then, has always been son I could be proud of anywhere. I know how hard you worked at studying for my sake, so hold your head high and go.
Remembering her words, I straightened my back and headed to the reunion. The reunion was held in the grand ballroom of a hotel near the old high school. The place had been recently renovated and looked beautiful. The food was served buffet style. After a toast led by Sam, the organizer, people started freely moving around, grabbing food, catching up with old friends, and enjoying themselves.
Shane, long time no see.
As I was wondering what I should do, Sam came over to me. He raised his glass, and the two of us toasted again.
Sorry I haven't kept in touch since starting my job. Work's been crazy busy.
Don't worry about it. I've been busy too, so we're even.
Got it. So Shane, you're working at.
Just as Sam was about to say something, a voice interrupted. Oh my, isn't that Shane? When I turned to look, there stood a stunningly beautiful woman. It didn't take long for me to realize it was Samantha. She had always been pretty back in high school, but time had only enhanced her looks.
It's been a while. Ever since I left for college, we've been apart, so it must have been since graduation, right?
Oh yeah, I moved away after that, so.
Really? You were so smart, but you didn't go to the same college as us, so I thought you couldn't afford the tuition. But you had money to move, huh?
Samantha feigned a look of exaggerated surprise. Next to her, her friend Violet stifled a laugh and shot it my way. Sam frowned in irritation.
Samantha, it's nice that you've gotten prettier, but I see your attitude hasn't changed.
Oh, is that a compliment? Thanks, Sam. But you know, spending time with someone like him might make poverty contagious.
It's not contagious.
Come on, Sam. It's fine. I'm okay. I tried to calm Sam, who was getting angry on my behalf. That's when Samantha's attention shifted back to me.
Still as timid as ever, huh? You couldn't even tell anyone that I was the one hiding your stuff.
So it really was you, Samantha. Shane didn't say anything because he didn't have proof.
Well then, how about this? If you can solve this problem, I'll let you do whatever you want with me.
Samantha pulled out her phone, tapped the screen a few times, and then showed it to me. Sam leaned over to glance at the screen and made a face like he'd just bitten into something sour.
Whoa, the problem's written in French. We can't even solve it if we can't read it.
Hearing Sam's remark, the classmates nearby started gathering around to see what was going on. Samantha smirked at the attention.
That's right. And this problem? It's called the Master Demon, a legendary challenge from the International Math Olympiad with an extremely low success rate. But hey, Shane, you were such a nerd back in school. You should be able to solve it in seconds, right?
Yeah, solved it.
Of course, there's no way you wait. What? Shane, what did you just say?
I said, I solved it. I borrowed a piece of paper and a pen from Sam, whose eyes had widened in shock, and wrote down the solution. I deliberately avoided using my phone to prevent anyone from accusing me of cheating. Samantha snatched the paper from me and stared at it intently.
It's correct.
The crowd erupted in astonished murmurs.
Wait, how did you solve that?
Violet exclaimed in disbelief. Everyone else seemed to agree, nodding at her words.
Shane graduated from Oxford University, so of course he can read French. Though I have to admit, even I'm shocked he solved such a tough-looking math problem.
Sam explained on my behalf as I struggled to find the words. The murmurs of surprise around us only grew louder. Meanwhile, Samantha was grinding her teeth.
Don't lie. There's no way someone as poor as him could study abroad, let alone go to Oxford.
Actually, the reason we moved was because my mom remarried. Her new husband is the CEO of Tyrrell Electric.
Tyrrell Electric? That's a huge company.
When I mentioned my stepfather's company, the commotion only intensified. I had actually given up on going to college, but he saw my grades and asked if I wanted to aim for Oxford. So instead of attending a local university, I went to a school in the UK, studied hard, and managed to get in.
And now, Shane, what kind of work are you doing?
I'm currently working as a consultant for my father's company. I also take on assignments from other companies when needed.
Wow, that's incredible.
As word spread, more and more people gathered around. I'd never been surrounded by such a large crowd before, and it was overwhelming.
Hey, don't push.
Samantha, who had been standing in front of me, was shoved away by the wave of people. Then, someone's drink spilled on her dress.
Who did that? Who spilled their drink? My dress is ruined. This is the worst. It was expensive.
Her face flushed red with anger as the crowd around her started to back away. No one admitted to being the culprit, and Samantha glared sharply at everyone nearby. That's when Violet stepped forward. She looked at Samantha with a mocking expression.
Getting this worked up over one dress? You really lack composure, Samantha. Then again, it's not surprising. Your company's sales are tanking right now, aren't they?
What, Violet? Why are you bringing that up all of a sudden?
And honestly, you're not all that impressive. Shane's grades were always better than yours, and yet you looked down on him, tried to one-up him, and even bullied him. You didn't just treat Shane that way. You acted like that toward anyone around you who was more capable than you, didn't you? I've always hated that about you. All because you're the daughter of a CEO and rich. How did you even have the nerve to act like that? Oh, wait, did you get into college with daddy's money? Like, daddy, please?
At Violet's words, Samantha's face alternated between red and pale. Seeing her like that, Violet's smile grew even more smug and satisfied.
Oh, by the way, Samantha, earlier you told Shane that if he solved that problem, he could do whatever he wanted, didn't you? So Shane, what's it going to be? She's pretty enough, so she's perfect for a one-time fling and toss.
Samantha's face drained of color at that remark. Then Violet wrapped her arm around mine.
But even once might make me jealous. If you're going to go for something like that, why not pick me instead of this pitiful girl? Unlike her, I'm confident I can actually make you happy, Shane.
I glanced at Samantha. She bit her lip in frustration, gripping the hem of her stained dress tightly. It was true that I had no good memories with her. But I gently unwrapped Violet's arm from mine. Violet looked up at me, her eyes wide in shock. You say Samantha bullied me, but Violet, didn't you do the same? You stood right beside her and laughed at me the whole time. To me, there wasn't much difference between what you and Samantha were doing. This time, it was Violet's turn to pale. Ignoring her, I took Samantha's hand. Let's go, Samantha.
Huh?
You said I could do whatever I want, right? Pulling Samantha's hand, I walked out of the venue. Outside, the night had already fallen. I could feel Samantha shiver slightly through our linked hands. When we reached the parking lot, I turned to face her. Samantha, take that off.
What? What are you saying? You pervert.
Her face turned bright red as she stepped back from me. Realizing how my words might have sounded, I quickly clarified. No, that's not what I meant. If you stay in those wet clothes, you'll catch a cold. I just got back from the UK yesterday, and my sister asked me to buy some clothes there. You're about the same height as her, so you can change into these. I grabbed a paper bag from the back seat and handed it to Samantha. Samantha checked the contents of the bag and headed into the hotel restroom with it.
I've changed.
She said as she returned, but the sight of her left me startled. The outfit she had put on featured a plunging V neckline that revealed a clear view of her cleavage.
What? You're the one who gave me these clothes.
Seeing Samantha shyly trying to cover her chest, I quickly averted my gaze in a panic. I remembered seeing the outfit when I bought it, but I hadn't realized how revealing it was. Come to think of it, my sister had recently mentioned she'd gotten a boyfriend. Was this meant for a date? The thought left me with mixed feelings. I felt a light tug on my sleeve and turned to see Samantha, her cheeks flushed as she gazed up at me with an almost pleading look. My heart skipped a beat.
Hey, Shane. If you're okay with it, would you like to grab a drink somewhere? You know, as a thank you for letting me change into these clothes.
Sure, if you're okay with it, Samantha. We ended up at a small bar tucked away in the back streets of downtown. There were hardly any other customers. This way, none of our classmates from the reunion would show up, and Samantha could drink without worrying about being seen. After the drinks and snacks we ordered arrived, silence hung between us for a while. Should I say something? I couldn't think of a topic. As I was turning this over in my head, Samantha suddenly downed her drink and let out a long sigh.
You're laughing at me inside, aren't you, Shane? Thinking about how the girl who bullied you so much back then has ended up so miserable.
I glanced at her and saw her give a small, self-deprecating smile. As she ordered a second drink, she propped her chin in her hand.
My father, he always wanted a boy, but in the end, he only had me. Maybe that's why he raised me so strictly. Always be above others, he'd say. Don't let anyone look down on you just because you're a woman. It worked through middle school, but when I got to high school, you showed up, Shane. Suddenly, I couldn't be on top academically anymore. So I tried to make up for it by putting down your family situation. Back then, I really believed that made me superior. But today, I realized how wrong I was.
Samantha's ordered whiskey was brought to the table. She took a sip of it.
You saw Violet today, didn't you? I always thought she was one of my closest friends. But to think she felt that way about me. She only stayed by my side because I was the CEO's daughter. Everyone else probably felt the same way. I guess I never had a real friend, not even one.
She gently set her glass down, her eyes glistening slightly. A small pang of sympathy stirred in my chest.
Ugh, I should have just skipped the reunion. Then I wouldn't have had to hear Violet's true feelings, and I wouldn't feel this low.
I don't think that's right. At my words, Samantha frowned. You were going to find out how Violet really felt sooner or later. Personally, I think it's better that it happened today. These things hurt more the longer they're hidden. And if you're at rock bottom now, the only way left is up, right? Tears suddenly spilled from Samantha's wide, astonished eyes.
Wow, Shane, you're such a good person. I can't believe you're encouraging someone like me.
Her tears kept flowing, showing no signs of stopping. I rummaged through my bag and pulled out a crumpled handkerchief from deep inside, handing it to her.
Sorry for crying so suddenly.
It's fine. It's better to cry when you feel like it. With that, she started crying even more. The shop owner glanced over at us with a suspicious look, which made me panic. Let's step outside for now. Maybe some fresh air will help clear your head. Samantha nodded, still clutching the handkerchief tightly, and I led her out of the bar. The cool early summer breeze greeted us as we stepped into the night. Avoiding the busier parts of downtown, we began walking toward Samantha's house. At first, she was still sobbing quietly, but as we walked, she started to calm down and eventually stopped crying. She glanced up at me nervously.
Shane, aren't you going to get your car? You left it at the venue. You don't have to walk me all the way home.
There's no way I'm letting you walk alone at night. I'll see you to your door. Her eyes welled up again, but this time, no tears fell. We continued walking side by side. Eventually, we arrived in front of Samantha's house.
Thank you for walking me home, Shane.
Yeah. Well, good night, Samantha. As I turned to head back to the hotel where the reunion was held, I felt a gentle tug on my sleeve.
Will I see you again?
Her cheeks were faintly flushed, and her still slightly teary eyes looked up at me. The question made me feel a sudden rush of warmth.
I want to return your handkerchief and the clothes.
When she added those words, I nodded in understanding. Oh, I see. That was close. I almost misunderstood her intentions. Yeah, no problem. We'll see each other again soon. Samantha tilted her head slightly at my response. At that moment, a woman's voice called out from our house. Samantha, are you back?
Oh yeah, I'm here.
Samantha turned on her heels and went inside. After making sure the door had closed, I headed back down the road. A few days later, I found myself visiting the headquarters of Summers Publishing. It was because the CEO of Summers Publishing had requested my expertise as a consultant.
So, you're Shane Adams, right? I've heard the rumors. They say you're the right-hand man to the CEO of Terrell Electric and a brilliant consultant who has successfully turned around several companies. We're counting on you to help us as well.
Of course. As we exchanged a firm handshake, the door to the CEO's office opened. "Excuse me," Samantha said as she walked in. She froze, her eyes widening in surprise when she saw me.
Let me introduce you. This is my daughter, Samantha. Samantha, this is Shane Adams, a consultant from Terrell Electric. I've hired him to help rebuild our company. Take care of him while he's here.
Yes.
Still visibly flustered, Samantha left the CEO's office with me.
Why didn't you tell me the other day that you were coming to our company?
Sorry, I couldn't. It was confidential.
Oh, I see. Well, I guess I can't blame you. But I didn't bring the handkerchief with me.
Don't worry about that at all. I smiled at her, and Samantha pouted in annoyance. Was it just my imagination, or were her cheeks slightly red? So, what position do you hold here, Samantha?
I'm the head of the digital marketing department. If I can improve our performance here, my father will finally acknowledge me.
I couldn't help but find her enthusiasm endearing. But then her gaze dropped to the floor, her confidence wavering.
But things aren't going well at all. A lot of people are quitting.
What reasons are they giving for leaving?
I don't know. I haven't asked. Forcing unmotivated people to stay would just lower efficiency, wouldn't it?
I couldn't help but let out a sigh. Samantha frowned, clearly annoyed.
What? If you have complaint to say, just say it.
It's not a complaint. Think of it as advice from a consultant. You should listen to what your employees have to say. Samantha, do you actually engage with your employees and see them as you work?
No, I work alone in my office. The employees either suck up to me or act resentful because I'm the CEO's daughter.
That might be the issue. All right, let's go check things out together.
What?
Ignoring her reluctance, I insisted Samantha guide me to the digital marketing department. When we arrived, a man immediately approached us, practically rubbing his hands together as he greeted us with an overly cheerful smile.
Well, if it isn't the department head, what brings you down here today?
Nothing much. This consultant, Shane, asked me to give him a tour of the department, so I came.
Sorry for the intrusion. Would it be all right if I observed your work for the day? When I asked, the male employee looked a little puzzled, but eventually nodded. Sure. Samantha, for today, please work here in the department.
Fine.
Reluctantly, Samantha brought her laptop out of her office and set up at an empty desk to start working. She sat at an empty desk and began working. The presence of the department head, who is usually absent, caused the atmosphere in the department to become tense. Oh, everyone, just carry on with your work as usual. Don't mind us. Of course, I knew that was easier said than done. To help ease the tension, I went around asking employees if they needed help or offered tea to those who seemed like they could use a short break. After the lunch break, the tense atmosphere had eased somewhat, as people seemed to grow accustomed to Samantha's presence. At that moment, a female employee's phone rang. Looking flustered, she quickly stepped out into the hallway to answer it. When she returned, she glanced nervously at Samantha before addressing the male employee who had spoken to us earlier. He let out a sigh of frustration.
Is it your child with a fever again?
I'm so sorry. I'll make up for it tomorrow, I promise.
The female employee apologized repeatedly, grabbed her bag, and hurried out of the office. I approached the male employee. Is that a regular occurrence with her?
Yeah. Every time she leaves like that, it slows down our work. Honestly, it's a bit of a problem. If we knew in advance she'd be absent, it'd be easier to manage things.
He exhaled deeply. With that, the workday came to an end. Some employees stayed for overtime, but most left within an hour. Samantha, after observing the department for a day, what are your thoughts? In the now empty office, I asked her. She looked deep in thought, her expression troubled.
Well, I think the next person to quit might be her, the one who left early. I knew we had employees balancing work and parenting, but I didn't realize they were leaving like that, looking so apologetic.
Frowning slightly, Samantha called the female employee to her office the next day. About 30 minutes later, the employee emerged from the office looking somewhat relieved. Following that, Samantha began calling other female employees who were balancing work and parenting into her office one by one, each time spending around 30 minutes in discussion. When the last employee had left, Samantha asked me to come into her office.
I've talked with them and heard their thoughts. The consensus is that they wish it were easier to leave work midway through the day when necessary. Others mentioned wanting later start times, or in some cases, earlier ones.
I see. In that case, what about introducing a super flex system?
What's that?
Well, right now, the company has a fixed schedule where employees come in at 9 and leave at 6, right? With the super flex system, employees decide their own start and end times. Depending on the schedule they set, they could even step away for a while during the day if needed.
I see. That could address the feedback I just heard.
Samantha placed a hand on her chin, her expression serious.
I want to propose this system to my father, the CEO, but Shane, could you come with me? I'm not sure I'll be able to explain it well enough on my own.
Of course. We went straight to the CEO's office and explained the advantages and disadvantages of the Superflex system, proposing a trial implementation in the digital marketing department.
I have my doubts, but if Shane recommends it, let's give it a shot. However, if productivity drops or there's no improvement, we'll stop it immediately.
With the CEO's approval, Samantha's face lit up with joy. The trial implementation of the Superflex system in the digital marketing department turned out to be a huge success. Not only did it benefit employees balancing work and parenting, but others also praised it, saying things like, "I don't get stuck in traffic anymore," or "It's easier to care for my elderly parents." The overall morale of the department significantly improved. A month later, the department achieved its best performance ever. Seeing these results, the CEO decided to roll out the Superflex system company-wide. For departments that were unsure about the sudden change, Samantha and I visited them directly to help guide the implementation process.
Thank you, Shane.
On our way back after explaining the Superflex system to the product development department, Samantha spoke up unexpectedly.
Lately, the employees in the digital marketing department have been saying I've changed. They say, "You used to act like a privileged CEO's daughter, but now you listen to us and work to improve things. You've become a great manager."
Samantha smiled bashfully, looking a little embarrassed. That expression, one I had never seen before, made my heart race.
It's all thanks to you, Shane. You encouraged me and gave me advice as a consultant. I can't thank you enough.
She said, "Wait here for a moment," and went into her office. When she returned, she was holding a paper bag.
These are the clothes and handkerchief I borrowed, and as a token of my gratitude.
Thank you for going out of your way. Can I take a look now?
Yeah, I hope you like it.
Blushing faintly, Samantha nodded. Inside the bag were the clothes and handkerchief, as well as another neatly wrapped gift in a beautiful paper bag. When I opened it, I found a tie. It was a stunning design with gold roses embroidered on a deep red fabric. Wasn't this expensive?
Don't worry about that. I just thought it would suit you.
Oh wow, I really love it. Thank you. But it's so nice I might feel guilty wearing it for everyday use.
Then save it for those special moments.
Samantha gave a mischievous smile. but unlike the ones I'd seen before, this one felt incredibly charming. Once the Superflex system had been implemented across all departments and was gaining traction, I was summoned by the CEO.
Thanks to your proposal, our company is starting to show signs of recovery. Employee satisfaction has improved, and we're seeing an increase in job applicants. I truly appreciate it, Shane.
I just gave some advice, that's all.
That humility is one of your strengths, and that's why I have a proposal for you. Our company is considering opening an overseas branch. If you're interested, I'd like you to become the CEO of that branch.
Me? The CEO?
Yes. If I recall, you're an Oxford graduate. That means you're familiar with England. I can't think of anyone better suited for the role. What do you say? Wouldn't you like to take on the challenge of leading a team and expanding your influence on a global scale, rather than working as a consultant in just one country?
The CEO's words made me pause, and I frowned slightly. But what about Samantha? If you're choosing a CEO, I think your daughter, who also played a key role in this success, would be more appropriate.
Oh, Samantha? No, she's not cut out for it. Calling her a key player is far from the truth. If she had come up with the idea entirely on her own, maybe. But that wasn't the case, was it? Samantha would be better suited as the CEO of some small regional company.
Even though it wasn't about me, I felt deeply shocked. Please let me think about the offer to become CEO.
Of course, I'm looking forward to hearing a positive answer.
The CEO smiled cheerfully as he saw me off, but it left me with a slight feeling of nausea. I stepped into the hallway, my mood heavy, and came to an abrupt halt. Samantha was standing right in front of me, her face pale as a sheet. Samantha, did you overhear? Before I could finish, she nodded awkwardly. Then she forced a shaky smile at me, one that looked like she was about to cry.
That's amazing, Shane. Of course you'd be chosen. You're incredible. You should take the CEO position. I'll leave this company in the hands of my father and you.
With that, Samantha turned on her heel. Something glimmered as it fell to the floor. Instinctively, I grabbed her arm.
Let me go.
Her voice trembled, and she refused to look at me. Let's move somewhere else. Still holding her arm, I led her to the company's back garden. It was a quiet place where hardly anyone came, so she wouldn't have to worry about being seen. When I turned to face Samantha, sure enough, she was crying. Leaving everything to me? That's not like you, Samantha. Do you really think this is okay? You worked so hard. Samantha bit her lip and lowered her head. Then, she shook it side to side.
It wasn't enough. I didn't work hard enough. I needed to do so much more to be good enough like you getting into Oxford.
That's not true. You worked plenty hard, Samantha. I know it. I know how much effort you put in without anyone knowing. You studied every day in that park near our high school, didn't you? You thought someone might see you at the school library or the public library in town, so you went somewhere quieter.
How do you know that?
Samantha looked up at me, her eyes wide with surprise. I found you there by chance, and when I saw that even someone as amazing as you was working so hard, it inspired me. That's why I could push myself to study harder. The reason I got into Oxford, the reason I'm standing here today, is all thanks to the effort you put in back then.
That's not true.
Samantha lowered her head again, her voice trembling. Hoping to help her regain her confidence, I gently took her hand. Samantha, why do you work? What drives you to do what you do?
I joined this company for my father, to follow his words and become someone who wouldn't lose to anyone, someone who could lead others. But
When she looked up, her clear eyes reflected my face.
now it's not for my father. I want to work for others. When I changed the way I worked based on your advice, seeing everyone so happy made me incredibly happy too. So,
As she looked directly at me, Samantha was more beautiful than anything I had ever seen. Her brilliance made me squint unconsciously. Samantha, I want to support your dream. Please let me help.
I don't deserve your support, Shane. After all, I've only ever been terrible to you.
You're right. What you did to me in high school was tough to deal with. But Samantha, I've grown to love you so much that I've forgiven all of it. Her eyes widened in surprise. And then her face slowly turned bright red.
Love? You love me? But someone like me.
Please don't look down on yourself like that. You're an amazing woman, hardworking, capable of admitting your mistakes, and willing to reflect on them. I firmly clasped Samantha's hand in mine. Tears gently fell from her now wide, rounded eyes.
I love you too, Shane. Thank you for supporting me. I've always admired how hardworking you are, and I've loved you for it.
Still crying, Samantha threw her arms around me. I held her close, softly yet securely. Once she had cried enough to calm herself, we headed to the CEO's office.
Sir, I need to talk to you.
The CEO looked at her with a puzzled expression, seemingly sensing her resolute demeanor.
I would like to resign from the company.
What? Where's this coming from, Samantha? You don't have anywhere else to go if you leave my company.
I'll be fine. I'm starting my own business.
Starting a business? Don't be ridiculous. There's no way a failure girl like you, without any talent, could pull that off.
At those words, Samantha clenched her fists tightly in frustration. I stepped forward to speak on her behalf. She won't be alone. I'll be with her, so there's no need to worry about that.
You? Shane? Are you seriously telling me you're rejecting my offer to follow Samantha instead?
Yes. At that, the CEO burst into loud laughter.
This is priceless. Throwing away a golden opportunity to lead others, just like that. I never thought you could be this foolish, Shane. Fine, do as you please. Try it if you dare, but it's clear as day you'll go bankrupt in no time.
Ignoring the CEO, who was clutching his stomach with laughter, I took Samantha's hand and led her out of the office.
It's the first time my father has ever called me a failure to my face.
Samantha said softly, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. I gently wiped them away with my fingers. You're not a failure, Samantha. Let's prove it to him. Looking up at me, Samantha nodded with a smile that shone through her sadness. Together, we founded a consulting firm. I already had a reputation among major corporations as a highly skilled consultant, so securing clients was relatively easy. As a result, the business quickly gained momentum. Anticipating this, we decided to establish a consulting firm, and it turned out to be a successful choice. After the company was established, Samantha began studying consulting and quickly earned certifications as a small business consultant, certified public accountant, and tax advisor. I couldn't help but be impressed, thinking, that's Samantha for you. Even back when she was a department head at Summers Publishing, she stood out for her exceptional communication skills. She could listen to clients' needs and give precise directions with ease. Thanks to this, despite having only been in consulting for less than a year, she already had a large number of loyal clients. Our consulting firm became so successful that, about 6 months in, we realized the two of us couldn't handle all the work and decided to recruit employees. We announced that even those without consulting experience were welcome, and surprisingly, many of Samantha's former subordinates applied.
We want to work under Samantha again.
Hearing this brought tears to Samantha's eyes. After discussing with Samantha, we agreed that bringing in trustworthy people was the best decision, so we hired everyone. We had enough employees, and our performance was steadily improving. Things were truly going perfectly. Around that time, a request came in from Summers Publishing. Rumors had been circulating for a while that the company's financial situation was deteriorating. Apparently, they were shutting down branch offices one after another. Desperate for help, they turned to us for assistance. Samantha, what do you want to do? If you're against it, we can decline.
No, I'll go.
Though her expression was tense, Samantha answered decisively. Without delay, we headed to Summers Publishing together. What shocked us upon arriving at the entrance was the absence of a receptionist.
How are we supposed to meet the president?
As we exchanged confused glances, the president emerged from a back room. His appearance was far more haggard than the last time we had seen him, fatigue etched into his face. Samantha gasped softly.
Thank you for coming. Honestly, I thought you'd turn me down after the way I treated you.
The president cast hollow eyes toward us before dropping to his knees.
Please, I beg you, save this company. Employees are leaving one after another, and our performance continues to decline. I can't think of any way to stop it. I'll apologize for everything I've done. So please help us.
Lift your head, Dad.
Samantha knelt before the president, reaching out her hand.
This company, I know how important it is to you, how you built it from nothing through incredible hard work. That's why I'll help you. Even after the awful things you said to me, I still love you, and I still love this company.
The president looked up at Samantha, tears streaming down his face as he gripped her hand tightly.
I'm sorry, Samantha. I'm so sorry. You endured my harsh upbringing, all for my sake. I had let my pride get the better of me. I always assumed it was natural for you and everyone else around me to act for my benefit. But now that I've hit rock bottom, I finally realize how wrong I was. I'm truly sorry.
Samantha smiled warmly and pulled her father to his feet.
If you're at rock bottom now, the only way left is up, right, Dad?
Samantha glanced at me with a playful little tongue poke. I couldn't help but smile.
You're right. Yes, you're absolutely right. It's amazing how much gratitude I feel receiving help at a time like this. I'll never forget this. even if the company doesn't survive.
That's not going to happen. I'll make sure Dad's company is saved.
Her bright declaration finally brought a smile to the president's face. Thanks to Samantha's tireless efforts, Summers Publishing was successfully revitalized. A year later, Samantha and I got married. The wedding venue was a hotel near the high school we attended. It was the place where Samantha and I began a new chapter of our lives together.
And now, let's raise our glasses to celebrate the happy couple's future.
Sam, our mutual friend and officiant, toasted, cueing the start of the meal. Family, relatives, friends, and former classmates filled the warm and lively venue. The atmosphere brought a smile to my face. Sam approached us, grinning.
Shane, Samantha, congrats on your marriage. I never would have guessed you two would end up together, not even at the reunion.
Neither did I.
Me neither.
Both Samantha and I agreed with Sam's words, and laughter naturally spilled between us.
That's a great tie you've got there, Shane.
Sam said, pointing to the rose-embroidered tie Samantha had given me. It's the first gift Samantha ever gave me. I just had to wear it today. Hearing that, Samantha shyly averted her eyes. Sam looked at us with an affectionate smile.
Oh, right. Violet, come over here.
Sam suddenly turned and beckoned Violet, who had been peeking at us nervously from a distance. Startled, she hesitated before timidly walking over. Sam gave her a gentle nudge on the shoulder.
Come on, you've got something to say, don't you?
Yeah, Samantha, Shane, congratulations on your marriage. And I'm so sorry for what I said at the reunion.
Violet apologized deeply. Samantha and I exchanged glances. Samantha gave a reassuring smile as if to say, "It's okay," and turned to face Violet.
Lift your head, Violet. If you hadn't pointed out my flaws back then, I wouldn't be sitting next to Shane today. I'm grateful to you for that. Besides, I wouldn't have invited you to the wedding if I hadn't forgiven you.
Samantha.
Violet's eyes filled with tears, but she quickly swallowed them back.
Samantha, I want to start over as friends. Not as someone tied to your family name, but as a friend who truly values you for who you are.
Of course.
Samantha's face lit up as she shook Violet's hand. While watching her, captivated by her joy, Sam jabbed me lightly in the ribs.
You're one lucky guy, Shane.
Absolutely. I replied with the biggest smile. No matter how hard you try, there are some things that will always remain out of reach. But just because you couldn't reach it doesn't mean the journey leading up to it was in vain. There will always be someone nearby who sees and acknowledges your efforts. And that journey is always connected to happiness. That's why I'll continue to work hard from now on, to build a happy future with her.